The blizzard didn't care about loneliness. It swallowed farms, roads, and hope. But that night, as ice sealed the world in silence, a single bark tore through the storm and changed everything. Ethan Cole hadn't spoken to another human in over a year. His weathered farmhouse sat 20 miles from the nearest town, nestled in a hollow of frozen pines under Montana's wide, indifferent sky. 10 years ago, he'd returned from overseas with a Purple Heart, a medical discharge, and ghosts that followed him into every room. He stopped answering calls, let friendships fade, and built a life of routine and quiet, because silence didn't ask questions and solitude didn't judge. His only constant was Coda, a broad-shouldered German shepherd with intelligent eyes and a calm presence that seemed to anchor Ethan's fraying nerves. Every morning, Ethan brewed black coffee, checked the woodpile, and walked the perimeter with Coda at his side, always scanning, always guarding. The dog had pulled him back from the edge more times than Ethan could count, pawing him awake during night terrors, nudging his hand during dark hours, sitting quietly when words failed. To the outside world, Ethan was just another broken veteran hiding from life. But to Coda, he was home. And in that quiet bond, Ethan found something close to healing, fragile but real. He didn't need people. He had his dog, his routine, and the snow-covered stillness that kept the past at bay. Outside, the wind began to howl with unusual fury. The old radio on the kitchen counter crackled a final warning before the power flickered and died. Blizzard warning in effect. Winds over 50 miles per hour. Do not travel. Ethan stoked the wood stove, added another log, and glanced at Coda, who stood rigid by the back door, ears forward, tail unnaturally still. The dog had never barked at storms, never flinched at thunder. But tonight his muscles were coiled tight, his gaze fixed on the tree line beyond the fence. Ethan remembered another storm. Years ago, in a desert that burned instead of froze. Men shouting, radios cutting out, a silence that followed like a tomb. He shook the memory loose, but Coda whined softly, low in his throat. Not fear, warning. Ethan tightened his coat. What is it, boy? The dog turned, locked eyes with him, then bolted toward the porch without hesitation. That was all Ethan needed. He grabbed his boots, his heavy coat, and the old mag light from the hook by the door, and stepped into the white fury. Snow blinded him the moment he crossed the threshold. The wind stole his breath and stung his cheeks like needles. Coda was already 50 yards ahead, nose to the ground, moving with purpose. Ethan's flashlight beam sliced through the white chaos, revealing a smear of crimson on the snow. Fresh blood. His pulse spiked. More droplets led like broken stars toward the fence line. Footprints, uneven and dragging, as if someone had crawled on hands and knees through the storm. Then he saw her, slumped against the barbed wire, half buried, her uniform stiff with ice. A U.S. Marine. Her face was pale, lips tinged blue, dried blood streaking her temple. Coda circled her, whining, nudging her arm with desperate urgency. Ethan dropped beside her, heart hammering. Ma'am? Can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered open, glassy, fading. She gripped his sleeve with trembling fingers. They left me, she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. Please help. Ethan didn't hesitate. He scooped her into his arms, shockingly light, and ran for the house, Coda barking ahead to clear the path, every muscle in the dog's body screaming urgency. Inside, he laid her on the couch and wrapped her in every wool blanket he owned. Her shivering was violent, a sign her body was shutting down. He rubbed warmth in her hands, pressed a hot water bottle to her core, and checked her pulse, weak but steady. Name? He asked gently. Sergeant Delaney Reyes, she managed, teeth chattering. My K-9. Shadow. We were on a transport detail, ambushed. They took him, left me for dead. Her breath hitched, eyes filling with tears. I crawled for hours. Just had to reach help. Ethan's chest tightened. He knew that look, the hollow stare of someone who'd seen too much betrayal, who'd been discarded by those they trusted. He cleaned the gash on her forehead, checked for broken ribs, and kept his voice steady. You're safe now. No one's taking you anywhere. But before he could say more, Coda let out a guttural growl and spun toward the front window. Ethan froze. Headlights, cutting slowly through the blizzard, crawling up his drive like a predator. No one came out here, especially not in this storm, unless they were looking for something. Or someone. They're here, Delaney breathed, fear sharpening her voice. Ethan's old instincts surged back, tactical, precise, honed in sand and blood. He killed the lights, drew the heavy curtains, and whispered to Delaney, "Stay down. Don't move." Outside, car door slammed. Boots crunched in snow. More than one. Moving with quiet intent, scanning the ground with flashlights. Ethan crouched beside Coda, hand resting on the dog's neck. Track them. Keep them busy. Don't engage, just hold them. Coda slipped out the back door like smoke. Moments later, a deep, commanding bark ripped through the night, followed by shouts and confusion. The figures scattered, blinded by snow and startled by the sudden fury of 100-pound guardian barking from the darkness. One raised a flashlight toward the trees. Coda lunged from the left, vanished, then reappeared on the right, barking, circling, never letting them regroup. The attackers hesitated, then retreated toward their vehicle, cursing. Just as their engine roared to life, the distant wail of sirens pierced the storm. Police. Ambulance. Ethan exhaled for the first time in hours. Coda returned, snow-dusted and panting, and pressed against Delaney's side as if to say, "It's over." Paramedics wrapped Delaney in thermal blankets and loaded her into the ambulance. Severe hypothermia, possible internal bleeding, but she's tough, one medic said quietly. Another hour in that cold, and she wouldn't have made it. As the doors closed, she reached for Coda's head. "Thank you," she whispered, tears freezing on her cheeks. "Both of you." At the hospital 2 days later, Ethan visited with Coda at his heel. Delaney sat up, color back in her face, for in her arm, but eyes bright with relief. "They found Shadow," she said softly. "Alive. Your dog." He led the search team right to him, barked nonstop until they followed his trail into the woods. Ethan looked down at Coda, who wagged his tail once, calm, proud, knowing. In that moment, Ethan realized something had shifted. The silence in his farmhouse wouldn't feel empty anymore. Because he wasn't just saving someone that night. He'd been saved, too. Delaney reached out, touched Coda's muzzle. "You didn't just find me," she said, voice thick with emotion. "You gave me a reason to keep fighting." Sometimes, the ones who rescue us don't wear uniforms or carry radios. They walk beside us in the storm, listen when we can't speak, and bark at the darkness until it flees. If this story moved you, please hit like, share, and subscribe. It helps more people find these tales of courage, loyalty, and second chances. And I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. Until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and never underestimate the power of a loyal friend.